So yes, gold just keeps taking the elevator up. How far up can the elevator go? How high can the price of gold go? Is there any limit to the price of gold? Well, that's what we're going to look at in this week's weekly analysis. So yeah, that's the big question. How far can the price of gold go? It just keeps going up and up and up. Well, we don't know how far it can go up, but it looks like there's no stopping gold. And that was the title of my video last week. There is no stopping gold. And that's what we've been seeing since the 22nd of August of 2025. Gold has been on this massive, massive bull run. And there's more to come for sure. So before we get started with this weekly analysis, which begins on the 13th of October, and going through to the 17th of October 2025. Of course, we always look at the high impact news, which affects the movement of our currencies and commodities. And moving over to our go-to website for the high impact news, and that's forexfactory.com. And I don't really know why we look at the calendar, all joking aside. As you can see at the bottom here, we have the disclaimer we've been seeing for a couple of weeks. This is about the US government shutdown, that some of this data might not be released, might be canceled, might be delayed. Yeah, what a big mess in the US right now. And that's noticeable in the volatility we're seeing with the US dollar and the major currency pairs. So we have a lot of tentative things here, and they probably won't be released. We don't know. We just have to wait and see. No non-farm payrolls was released in October. No unemployment data, and so we're just kind of flying blind here. But anyway, there's one interesting thing that's going to be. It's always good to watch Federal Chairman Jerome Powell of the U.S. Reserve. It's always interesting to watch him, and sometimes he rattles the markets, sometimes he doesn't have too much to say, but he is speaking on Tuesday, so be aware of that one. And then there's a couple of things on the odd economy and the UK economy. So a couple of things there to be aware of, and then towards the end of the week on the Canadian economy. So just be sure and check forexfactory.com and stay aware of these potential cancellations of news releases, or perhaps they will be released. We just have to kind of take this on a day-to-day basis. And now jumping right into our charts, and we'll have a look at the trade setups that I shared with you last week. And first of all, we look at Bitcoin. And I did give you a pending order on that. I said to buy Bitcoin at 120,000. That was actually a market execution. That's where it opened on Monday, went just a little bit below that, but then took off. And if you'd have taken that trade on Monday, it played out well on Tuesday before turning around and going the opposite direction. So a good trade setup on Bitcoin. It went up to 125,000 and change, got up to our new all-time high on Tuesday. So good trade on Bitcoin. Then the major U.S. pairs, we look at the Euro US, and here you can see all of the volatility from the past week. This yellow arrow here is where I had my pending order, that yellow line there, and it did execute. I got 28 pips on the Euro US. On the odd US, 33 pips on that one. It executed on Monday. The New Zealand US was a market execution order, and that one gave us 17 pips. Then the pound US was a buy limit. All right, that order did execute, gave us 28 pips on that one. The USD CAD was a sell market execution order, which opened on Monday, and we got 17 pips out of that one. The UJ was a crazy one. Big gap up on Monday, huge gap up. Now, this was a sell market execution, but when you woke up on Monday and you saw this huge gap up, of course, nobody in their right mind would start selling the UJ after it made that huge gap up way far away from our previous support resistance level. And then it just continued on up during the week. It did start to make a recovery on Friday, coming back down to where it has been, but we'll see how that plays out during this upcoming week. So that was no trade on the UJ. And then our stellar trade for the week, which everyone loves to look at and most people trade, and that's gold. And just unbelievable. It just keeps taking the elevator straight up. And as it's done the last 3 or 4 weeks, it did not quite come down to the pending order, but when the market opened on Monday, it just started going up and then continued up Tuesday and then continued up Wednesday for a grand total during last week of 1,720 pips. Just amazing. Just continuing these amazing, massive bullish runs before falling down, doing a bit of a recovery on Thursday, and then starting back up again during the U.S. session on Friday. Before we look at the pending orders, I just want to let you know that I get a lot of inquiries about prop firms. And the reason being because a lot of people, new traders, experienced traders, everyone wants to make bigger profits. Well, you cannot make big profits with a small account. If you want to make big profit, you need a big account. I always tell people that are learning with me, if you want to increase your profit, just increase your lot size. But if you want to increase your lot size, put more money in your account because you cannot make big profit with a small account. Now, if you don't have more money to put into your account, that's where the prop firm comes in. It's a proprietary trading firm that will let you use their account, their money. You trade with other people's money, and you can have a big account for a small fee. And then if you pass the evaluation, you can share in the profit 80 to 90%. Now, I won't go into all of the details about prop firms because I get so many inquiries. I've just come out with a new ebook, The Funded Trader Blueprint. And that is just launched last week. You can download that from my website. I'll leave the link below here, below this video. And for the pending order that I will share with you this week, it's only one order that I'm going to share with you because I'm not going to share any pending orders on the US dollar or the major pairs. And that's because of the extreme volatility we've been seeing with the US dollar. And we'll just go over here and look at the DXY momentarily. And you can see this massive move up that it made on last week started to come back down as it has been doing all year long. And people are looking at this and say, well, whoa, Rick, the US dollar is getting strong now. Oh, really? Okay, well, let's remember, look at the big picture. Let's look at the weekly chart. We're right on the 4-hour chart now. Go to the weekly chart and go back here to where, the beginning of the year. This is January 2025. That's when Trumpty Dumpty took office. And it just continues its decline. Okay, the dollar's not getting stronger. All right, it looks like that on a short term chart. But you see, we've got here lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. And this big candle that it made last week, well, it did that a couple of months ago and a couple of months before that. But the dollar is continuing to decline. But a very volatile week last week. We'll go back to the 4-hour chart. Yes, a very volatile week last week with it looking like it getting stronger, but in the U.S. session on Friday, in fact, all of the sessions on Friday has started to continue its decline. So how does that affect our major pairs? Well, I won't be giving any pending orders on those because of that extreme volatility. The euro is neutral, the odd New Zealand are bearish, the pound is bearish, USD CAD is bullish. So with there's so many varying indicators, and there's no clear direction. And if you follow me at all, when I see no clear direction, I would rather just sit on my hands, just wait. The market will be here next week, next month, next year. You don't have to trade every day, every week, but there are other things that we can trade beside those things with the US dollar. And gold being paired with the US dollar, however, okay, it continues to do well in spite of these moves of the US dollar. So what do I have for you this week on the XAU USD? A buy limit, okay, with the entry price at $39.50, and right now it closed Friday in the US session at 4,017. But so will it come down to our pending order? Well, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, remember, it hasn't done that. It has not come all the way back to our support level, which we have here. All right, so be watching that on Monday. It might just take off again like a rocket. And if you get in early at a good price, it's likely to continue its move up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe all week long. But my pending order is at $39.50. With a take profit at 4,100. Yes, we haven't reached that yet. We're getting close. Okay, up to 4,060. So I take profit at 4,100 with a stop loss. My usual stop loss at 3,930, but of course, you put your stop loss according to your own personal risk management protocol. Just jump over and look at Bitcoin before I close out, and no pending order on Bitcoin. My goodness, what happened yesterday? Bitcoin dropped $13,000 in 1 hour. Unbelievable. From 120,000 down to 107,000 in 1 hour. Yeah, it came right back up during that same hour. Moved up $5,000 or $6,000 in that same hour. But now trading at 113,000, where it has reached an new all-time high last week was 126,000. Well, that's just Bitcoin. But with this kind of volatility, no clear direction, I will just wait and see. I think we're likely to see some sideways movement on this. It needs to come back up to our previous resistance level, support level, 120,000, before we're going to start to see higher prices. But closing out again with gold, gold is just stellar. It just keeps going. There's no stopping gold. All right, a buy limit on gold with the entry price at 39.50, but be watching that on Monday when the Asian Pacific market opens, because it might just start to do like it's done for the last 3 or 4 weeks and just take off and go ballistic. So that's a wrap for this week, guys. I hope that the weekly analysis that I do every Sunday will help you with your trades. I hope that it will help you to make profit with Forex trading. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below this video. I will get back to you. And don't forget, wherever you are in the world, I wish you all the best of success with your trading. And just remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'll see you again next week.